All right, so we're talking about organization chart today, or organization strategy. Before we go to the organization chart, I always want to start with just a quick explanation for those of you who don't know what this dashboard is about right here. So anytime you log into TouchStone, the very first thing that you'll see is the dashboard. And if you've set up control panels, like I've got this one for Manager of Administration and Finance, then you'll see that control panel assignment right here under the control panel header. If you're a manager and you've been set up with a managerial control panel, then you see this section, which is called Management Review. All of this is kind of controlled and designed by the organization chart. So if we go to the organization chart here, because I've identified all these positions, like this one and these below, this is why I'm able to give someone or myself an assignment for a control panel to this position, because this is my org chart. So what the dashboard is about is it's about the using of processes and the implementation of processes, the training people with their processes, the ability for them to access their processes. All of that is extremely important to the success of the processes. So if you're going to document a process, a procedure for how something is done, if you don't implement it and require people to use it, then it's kind of all for naught. So this dashboard functionality really supports you in that. The control panels give an employee access to the processes they're responsible for. So that's what all these processes are, what I've been assigned as the manager of admin and finance. So here in this control panel, through these processes, I can go and look at the content and I can use them. So I can go to customer complaints right here and I can see these work plans on how to handle a customer complaint. Or I can go to this form right here and fill out a form regarding a customer complaint and save it back to TouchStone. So this is the using of the processes. If your dashboards haven't been set up yet, once we go through the organization chart process, then assign some control panels. Go through and construct the dashboards for all of your users in account administration and practice using it. Right up here in this little wheel icon takes you to user accounts if you're an administrator. So this is where all of your employees should be set up inside of TouchStone with their own usernames and passwords. And if you click on the name here on the user list and you go to control panel right here, this is where you assign the control panels. So I've got this one assigned for Manager of Admin Finance. So there's going to be a lot more about the dashboard, but I just wanted to give 2 cents for what it is and kind of encourage people to start using it. So let's go to the organization chart. So this is the organization chart inside of TouchStone. By the way, if you're interested, in the next month, we're releasing a new version of the organization chart and of the 4 key functions. So the new version is going to have a more kind of modern look and feel, and the functionality is going to be a little bit better. As we get closer to that new release of the org chart, I'll highlight it for you, or I'll show you the working beta version of it, so you can kind of see what that's going to look like. But we're all excited about it. It's been a while since any kind of new look and feel on the org chart has been implemented, so it's going to be fun for everyone. And yes, all of your current org charts will just be upgraded to the new look and feel. There's not going to be any re-entering of data or nothing's going to change for you. So first, I just want to go through technically how to use the org chart, and then we're going to get into more strategic things like how to literally use it as a management tool, how to use it as a planning tool, how to use it as what I would suggest is one of the most fundamental tools of your business, one of the best strategic tools any business can have. So this is called Tree View, and it looks like a tree. I can move the chart around. I'm just grabbing it in the white space so you can toggle your chart back and forth like this. You can also view it in Simple View. So this is Tree View, and this is Simple View. So Simple View is an outline format. I can still drag this and move it all around the chart, all around the screen as well. If your chart's really big, then oftentimes simple view is a better way to see it. It just depends on how you are visually. I like to see things in outlines. It's just easier for me to grasp it that way. But other people are more visual, like images or trees. So that's just the two views of the org chart. If you want to add a box to the chart, you click this little icon right here called Add Position. And then you're going to put in the name of your position. I think it's always good, and I spelled that wrong. I think it's always good to highlight the first letter of every word. So first letter of every name in the title. Then you tell TouchStone which box to put it under. So I hit this new position manager, and then I'm seeing a drop down of all of the positions on my org chart. And then I would just choose the box I want to put this under, who's its manager, and then I hit save. So now you'll see the name is right here. So the chart is built from the bottom up. So you're going to say, who is the manager of that position, and then put that box underneath it. You can also delete boxes from the chart. That's this icon right here. So if I hit this X, then I'm going to get a drop down of all the positions that are available to delete. So this note says that positions with subordinate positions cannot be deleted until the subordinate positions are deleted. So what that basically means is I can't delete the manager of marketing and sales right here because it's got boxes underneath it, and TouchStone doesn't know where to put those. So if you want to delete a box that's got boxes underneath it, you have to move those boxes somewhere else until that position's at the bottom of the chart, and then it'll be available to delete. So if we hit this drop down, you're not seeing all the positions. You're only seeing some, the ones that don't have boxes underneath them. So I choose that position, and then I hit delete, and then that box is gone. You can also move boxes around the chart. So just like I was saying, if I want to delete this box, I have to move these away so it's at the bottom. So to move positions, it's pretty easy. You just I'm holding my mouse click down right here, and then I put it inside of the box, not under it or over it, but right inside of it. And you can see it turn green, which lets you know you're on it, and then you let go. So that's pretty easy to move boxes around the chart. I can also move entire trees around the chart. So if I take this and I'm pulling this box, if I put it under here and let go, you see it's moved the whole tree. So if you take the managerial position and move that, then it's going to move everything underneath it as well. So let's move this back. All right. So add positions, delete positions, move positions around. I'm asked the question often, well, maybe not often, but enough times that I remember it. People are asking, how do I delete this box, the top box? So as we talk about some strategies on building a good organization chart, I'm going to make a pitch for why you would never want to delete this box. But if you did, you basically have to move these boxes underneath the board of directors. So I'd have to take this one and move it here, and then this one and move it here, and then this one and move it here. And now you can see the president over here is on its own, nothing underneath it. So then I could go and delete it, and then I would just rename this box to whatever I wanted it to be. So the answer is you want to get the position that you want to delete all on its own, where there's nothing underneath it, and then you'll be able to delete it. So I'm just moving all these back now. If you want to edit the title of a position, you just select it, and then you edit it on the job description page. So when you click a box on the chart, it takes you to the job description for that position. That's what we're looking at now, which is just a list of all the processes that the manager of marketing and sales is responsible for. But if I wanted to edit this and say I just wanted to call it manager of marketing, you just delete this and then hit save. So everything is editable just by clicking. Most everything in TouchStone is click to edit. So if you're struggling ever with, like, how do I edit this, how do I edit this, just click on it, and you'll be taken to how to edit it, or click right on the title, and it will open for you to edit. Okay, so let's talk about printing for a second. This is the printer option inside of TouchStone, or in the org chart, and honestly, it's not great. If I open it, it's going to show me the chart, and I'm just dragging it around here. So hypothetically, you could go here and then hit print this page, and you print this half, and then you could drag over and say print this page, and then you hit this half. I don't know why anyone would do that, but you could. That's what the printer button is for. A far better way to print the organization chart is just to use a snipping tool. So this is a tool I really like. I think I might have even showed it last week. This is called Jing. It's just a snipping tool that it's free. You can download it for free. It's made by Smith Tech. They have a more robust tool that's called Snagit, I think, and there are lots of other tools. But this one's pretty good because it allows you to do different things inside of a screen capture better than the Windows operating version, which is this little snipping tool right here. So this is, most of you probably have this if you're on a PC. This one I can go and take a screenshot of something, but when, like, I'll just take a little screenshot of this and show you. But when I go to draw on it, it's like a child's drawing. Like, you can't really do it very well. It looks messy. Whereas Jing is way better at that. So to print the org chart, I would use Jing, and I would go here and then highlight the whole chart like that, and then let go, and then I capture it, and now you can print it. Now you're going to need legal size paper, and you'll have to deal with your printing with your printer when it comes to printing this. But this is a good image, or a way to get an image of the chart. Now inside of Jing, I can do way fancier things like that. That's like a way better arrow, right? And then I could do a text box, so I could type things in. You can also highlight things like that. And then you can change the colors of things that you want to be different colors. I can click on this arrow and change the color to something else. You can do highlight things like that. So this functionality inside of Jing is just like way better. And you can download this for free on the internet. When you're documenting, you're going to be making a lot of screenshots. Like, I highly recommend that. That's a great way to, if you can show a picture of how something's supposed to look. So having a nice screen capture tool like Jing is super beneficial. So that's printing the org chart. I'm just going to cancel this. Best way, take a screenshot of it and then print it from there. So that's the basic functionality of the org chart. It's pretty simple and straightforward. There's a couple techniques in naming things that I'll just go over. You want to have, like I said, the first letter of every word capitalized. If you're going to do all caps, then make sure every box is all caps. So think of like a convention that you want to use for that, and then stick with it. Lowercase kind of looks funny, but if you want to do all lowercase, then just decide what do you want the titles to look like. Always make sure that you have a position title, not a person's name. Hopefully that's obvious to everyone, but I still see that even nowadays. So you always want this to say manager of marketing, or sales lead, or internet marketing. You wouldn't want this to say Bob and Sam and Frank. Never a person's name. Because we're identifying the positions, the structure in the company. We're not using people's names and personalities to define a box on the org chart. If you want to put people's names in the chart next to the titles, then you can do that. So you would just select the name here, and then you click up here, and then you can put the person's name if you want, and then save it. And now when I go back here to the org chart, you're going to see that person's name here. How TouchStone knows who's assigned to what position is here through account administration. So you assign a control panel for that position on the org chart, and then here on the dashboard, you literally this is me right here. I'm assigned to this box. And then because people, other employees through account administration have been assigned these roles, like Mike's the bookkeeper and Bill's the IT person, I see their names here. So TouchStone knows this just by the assigning of the users on the user list, 2 boxes on the chart. But having said that, if you want to put people's names, you certainly can. Where that might become an issue is in an example like this. So this is the lead service rep. There are 4 of these positions. There are 4 people who fill this role. I don't want to have 4 lead service rep boxes all redundant and the same, because that just makes the chart bigger and, less usable. I wouldn't want to have 6 apprentice techs or 5 lead techs. If there are multiple people who fill the same role, they do the same work, then you can just represent how many people are in this box by the numbers that I have here, like 4. Or I suppose you could list their names if you wanted to, but that's just going to stretch out your boxes and make them look bigger and wider. But that's a personal preference. If you want to do that, that's totally fine. But what I would say definitely don't do is create 4 lead service boxes that are all the same, because that's just redundant. You'll have to build 4 of the same job descriptions, and then it gets kind of confusing over here when you're assigning positions. In the title of the boxes as well, you can also use techniques like this. So this is the manager of operations. We're going to hire this position in Q4 of 2019. So I'm going to talk more about this in a minute, but that's what this means. It's just a future hire date. Okay, so let's talk about what makes good organization strategy. How to build an organization chart that you can use as a strategy tool. The number one thing to achieve that is to build it for the future. So look into the future. Look a couple years out. Think about your strategic plan, your vision for your business. Where do you want to see it in 2 years? Anything beyond 2 years, in my opinion, is a little hard to plan for. You could do it for 5 years if you wanted to. You could do it for 1 year if you wanted to. Somewhere between 2 and 3 is probably what I would recommend. So imagine the business in that future. Think about the size of the business in the future. And revenue is usually how, in most businesses, you define size. What are the sales? What are the sales going to be? What is the revenue going to be in 2021? Have that number at least. Then from that perspective, so let's say we want to grow from 5 million to 10 million in 2 years. So my overall goal is going to be 10 million by the year 2021. Then I would look at the organization chart, and I'm not going to think about what's going on in the business now or who I have or all the people and personalities. Make this an entrepreneurial exercise. Think about your business in the future and the structure of that business, irregardless of all the people and personalities that are happening now. So think about that business with 10 million in sales and start to sketch it out. What is this business going to need to look like? What is the marketing department going to need to look like? What is the operations going to need to look like in order to be able to deliver 10 million in sales? What kind of infrastructure or overhead or office are you going to need to support a business of that size? What are the levels of management going to need to be to support a business of that size? So let's talk about this kind of from top to bottom and then left to right. This is the board of directors here at the top. These are the shareholders, the owners, the entrepreneurs. Even though you don't do regular board meetings, if that's your case, doesn't mean you don't need this position. This is the owners. This is you as the owner. All you care about in this box is maximizing the value of your asset, your dividends, the profits that you receive. You don't care about the work that's happening or the people. All your vision is to increase the value of the business. So that's a much different perspective than even what the president has and definitely what the marketing manager has. These people over here might say, oh yeah, we care about the value of the business, but really what they care about is maybe increasing sales or their own salaries. It's just a different mindset. So allow yourself this mindset, this this visionary mindset. Down below, board of directors or shareholders or owners, whatever you want to call it, is the president or general manager, CEO, whatever term you want to use. This person implements the vision of the owners or of the board of directors. So the board sets a vision. They set a direction for the company that's going to increase the value of the company itself. And then the president here implements that vision tactically and strategically through the different departments, generally marketing and sales, operations or service delivery, and then admin finance. So have some kind of president general manager role. Below the president or general manager are the key departments within the company. So another rule of good organization strategy is you want to have uniformity of work. You want to have like things happening in like areas. And a good way to depict that is through departments. This gets messed up in small businesses a lot of the time because you've got chaos in how you're growing and what people are doing. So this building of a good organization chart is a chance to relook at that and to think, okay, as we grow into the future, what departments will we have? Generally speaking, there's going to be a getting the business department, so marketing and sales, marketing, advertising, and sales, getting new business in the door, just like on the 4 functions. All the processes in getting the business are related to this department. Then you have operations or service delivery or production. So this is where the products and services are delivered. When sales are made over here, they're pushed over here to be delivered. Then you have generally the office side, the admin, finance, HR, IT. This is like the overhead, the support department. So these are typically the 3 departments. And if you think about it, there's like results, there's unifolts, there's uniformity of work within each of those departments. Now, depending on your business in this area and operations, you may have multiple service lines or multiple product lines, and then therefore multiple departments within operations. But generally speaking, those departments have the vision, or their main focus is delivering what was sold. So starting here from left to right, let's talk about what makes up a good structure within each of these departments. So number 1, there needs to be a managerial presence. So manager right here. It's true for all the departments. Manager right here. Manager right here. The manager manages the results, manages the people who get the results. So I, as the president here, am giving direction to the marketing manager saying, we are going to increase sales by 50% in the next 2 years. The board up here has given direction on that, on what their vision is. And now the president, through this marketing manager, is asking, what are the processes? What is the work that we need to do in order to increase sales by 50%? So they're strategizing about that and ultimately creating processes by which these people down here follow and get the results. So this is a different lens or a different way of looking at your business and the results you have to achieve. What are the goals? Then what are the processes? What is the work that needs to happen in order to achieve those goals? It's not just, I need to hire more salespeople. We have all these leads coming in and not enough salespeople. Let's just hire more. It's not, that's kind of a reactive way to think about it. The TouchStone way is, what are the processes that we need to implement to get those results? So think about, in this particular department, the sales and marketing, think about the goals, what the sales goals are, and then start to consider your version of those processes, which then allows you to see what positions you need. So here, internet marketing, if we've decided that doing internet marketing, social media, new website, SEO, pay-per-click, like that is the way to get new leads, well, then you probably need an internet marketing person, someone who's going to implement and do that work. Then if those leads are funneled to salespeople who actually give presentations of some kind or need to follow up on those leads, then you know you need salespeople or a structure for salespeople. Start to think about how many salespeople you might need. And you can do that through this by thinking about the processes. So if you implement all those great social media marketing processes here, and you have 50 leads a day coming in, ideally, and you want to convert those leads at 50%, well, how many salespeople do you think you're going to need? Are you going to need levels to the sales department where, like, here's the lead and then we have the assistant underneath? So you can hire people here and then bring them up here. So think about it from a goal perspective. What does the structure of the department need to be? Again, don't try to get rid of all thoughts of who's there now and what you're doing now. Think about your vision for the future. So if all these leads are now coming in here, they're coming in through this funnel, they're going to salespeople, they're converting at 50%, then we're taking all those leads and putting them here, right? So everything that's sold is then getting delivered by somebody or through processes, service delivery, operations. All the people coming in the door, then how are we going to give them what they came for? So you want to think about your operations and the capacity that it has. People call this capacity planning, scaling, productivity. All those words mean, how are you going to sustain all the new sales coming in? How are you going to deliver those in a quality way? This is where cost of goods sold starts to matter. Because if we have tons of sales coming in over here, and all those leads are getting dumped here, and these people are not delivering those services in a profitable way, so for what they're sold here, they're not being delivered here, well, that's going to cause you to be not profitable. So if you don't have a good structure of employees here, where you can train people up to be delivering your products and services in a profitable way, then you're going to instantly start to lose money. We call it holes in the bucket. And it has to do with the cost of goods sold. And there's no amount of sales that's going to fix that. So if you're ever in the situation where you're looking at your P&L after a quarter, after a month, and saying, we've had the best sales month ever, where are all the profits? Well, it's because of this. It's because of all those sales are getting dumped onto an untrained, unstructured operations department where people are overworked and there's not enough people, and you're losing all the profitability. You're losing all the money in those sales. So think about all these things as you envision this business in the future. So imagine this operations department or service delivery having to deliver that $10 million in sales. What does it need to look like? So a couple suggestions. One is consider doing levels. So you see this all throughout my chart. I've got apprentice, lead, senior, associate, lead service, service manager, sales assistant, sales lead. What this means is I'm hiring people down here. I'm training them in these processes on this job description. When they're capable and ready after maybe 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, it just depends on how complicated the work you're doing is, then I promote them to here. When they're in this box, then they learn those processes. They've mastered these, now they know these. They're trained, they're evaluated, and then they're moved up to here. Now they're the senior tech. Now the senior tech, when they get a job, they're going to deliver it on time, every time, exactly as promised, full, all costs and labor within budget, because they've been trained through here to here to here. These people down here, they're probably not going to be delivering things very profitably. You can't expect them to. You're training them from the bottom up, then here, then here. So this is important to think about, because as the business starts to grow, you need to have a plan for how you're going to train people and how you're going to create the infrastructure within operations that's going to be able to support all those new sales. You have to build your own training from within. The issue or the fallacy that occurs for a lot of small businesses is they think they can hire this person. And this is when you start saying things like, I can never find anybody that's good. All the employees are terrible. No one wants to work for me. I can't find someone like Bob. I'm the only one who can do it. Nobody does it like me. If you said anything like that, it's because you're living in this fallacy that you can always hire this person. Now, what perpetuates the myth or the fallacy is that sometimes you do. Maybe you get lucky, you steal someone from a competition, they come in, and now they're just like the best employee you ever had. But that's people dependency. That doesn't happen. You have no control over that. You can't scale that. The only thing you can control and scale is this scenario, bottom up. And that takes attention, and it costs money. It costs money to hire people and train them for however long, and then train them here, and then train them here. But a good organization strategy helps you do that in a more methodical way. So if you have a job description for the apprentice technician, and this works for service delivery, it works for all different industries. I'm kind of using the operations or production example, but this works in all other industries as well. So if I have this apprentice technician, there's 6 things this person has to learn. These are all the processes. And I take this person through this one process at a time. Let's talk about how to do walkthroughs. Let's talk about how to clean the warehouse, how to do the client intake, how to do installation, how to do production. I can even say, it's going to take a competent person 1 week to learn this, 2 weeks to learn this, 4 weeks to learn this, so I can plan it out with time as well. So I would say in the end, it's going to take 5 months for an apprentice tech to learn all 6 of these things, a competent person, and then move up to the next box, the lead tech. And then once they're lead tech, I'd say, okay, now this person has to learn all 8 of these things, and it's going to take them 6 months to do that or 4 months to do that. Now, you may not like the amount of time it takes to train, but that's just a part of it. That's what it is. This kind of thinking it through and then adding up the time, 4 months here, 6 months here, times that by what you're paying these people and your overhead, then you're going to get a pretty accurate picture of what it's going to cost you to grow. Because it does cost you. If you're doing it in the right way, it's going to cost you from here to here to here. So one thing I always like to say here, because people generally have this question, is how do you get people to stay, right? Because if you're spending 6 months and all that money to train these people up to here, and then they get up here and they're like, this business sucks, I'm leaving, well, you lost all that money, right? Well, there's no magic answer to that. I think Michael Gerber always said it best when he said, you have to create a game worth playing. You have to create a place where people want to be. Now, naturally, if you have a training program where you're teaching people, that's a gold star right there. People are going to want that. So create an environment and a place where people want to be. That's the only way to keep good people. Have managers who really care, who are following management processes. Create a place people want to be. Get people on your bus and go in a direction that is a valuable, happy place for them to exist. That's all people want. The opposite is if you don't train them, what's the end result of that? Lack of efficiency, mistakes, cost overruns, frustrated people. There's this cartoon I love. I think it was originally by Simon Sinek, and it was a picture of the CEO and the CFO. And so the CFO is saying to the CEO, well, what if we spend all this money on training and then people leave? And the CEO says, yeah, but what if they stay? Right? What if we don't spend all that money and they stay? Well, that's just the epitome of all this. I think this is a perfect description of what happens. You don't train them and they stay, and then you have all the issues that you have with that. So think about the structure within your company, how to hire people in and how they're going to move up. Think about efficiency and productivity within the operations department, and that comes through the use of processes. Then lastly, there's this department over here, which is the office processes, admin, finance, HR. This is the support department. I think these departments get a bad rap a lot of the time because it's like, well, what are they, we don't have time for that. We don't have money for that, or what does that department really do? The answer is they do everything. They support the rest of the company. They provide the information that the rest of the company needs to be successful. They're everything. Now, there are certain examples where the overhead is too high, but I rarely see that. Mostly I see there a dearth of structure within this. So this department makes everyone else more efficient. So here's some reasons why. Bookkeeper, controller, CEO. This is about having real, accurate, on-time numbers to tell all of these people how they're doing. All of them. If you don't have real financial statements and real numbers to then provide back to this person who can analyze productivity. So if an estimate is created and then I don't have a way as an operations manager to know, well, what was the actual cost compared to what we estimated, you see the problem with that. I don't even know if my estimating's good, let alone if all of my service delivery people are being successful. And that happens here, having effective financial information. These people are in a world of hurt if this isn't happening here, because they don't know, they may know how many leads are coming in, but they don't know what those are costing and sometimes not even what the conversion rate is. So how are they going to know if any of what they're doing is successful? Human resources done by this person or a whole other position for human resources. The cost of a bad hire is exorbitant. It's something like, I don't know, 100% of the annual salary. I can't remember the exact statistic, but it's alarming. So good recruiting and hiring is just mandatory. Spend the time and energy to get good people in the door, vet those people, test those people, make sure that who you're hiring here are going to be successful as best you can because you're investing in them here and here, let alone all of the legal mistakes that possibly are made by not having good human resource information. There's some amazing human resource processes in the library over here in the 4 functions and running the business, some really basic, good, solid human resource processes. IT, that's another thing. Has anyone ever experienced where you come into work and like, damn it, my computer isn't working? What a waste of time that is, right? Let alone when it's like a whole department is down. So investing in good IT structure, even if you outsource this, is so important. Having effective running CRM, production management software, and having someone who knows how to program that and make it work successfully in the company, there's no better money spent than that. And then basic things like reception, administration, filing things, organizing things, supporting these people over here, answering the phone and directing the calls in an effective way. So these people aren't answering the phone when they should be out actually income generating. So think about each of the main departments here and what your version of that is. Structure those for the future. Imagine the business in the future, 2 years out. What does it need to look like in the year 2021 when we're doing 10 million in sales? Build a picture of that. Once you've accomplished that, sit down and look at that chart, that future chart, and marry it with the present situation. So what that looks like is I'm going to think about all the people I have now, and I'm going to put their names into boxes for what they're doing now. So this is the future structure, and then we're going to marry it with the present situation. So what that looks like is if I have this department here laid out, or this operational department, and I, as the president, because my business is still growing, I'm the president, I'm the operations manager, I'm a senior lead tech, I also do some sales. This might be a small business, but some of you are in that situation. If that's the case, then put your name in all those boxes. That's what you're doing. Then have goals to get out of it. So this is an example of that. If I'm this position and this position, my goal is by Q4 2019, I'm going to hire this person in. So this is where the org chart, the org strategy becomes a hiring plan. It becomes a way that you're going to grow towards that goal of 2021. So put your name in the boxes for what you're doing now, and then strategize it. As the business starts to grow, we get more leads coming in here, we invest in internet marketing, then sales will be to the point in Q4 2019 that I can hire this person. So put people's names in the boxes for what they're doing now. Sometimes you have employees who you call them indispensable. They're like the best. They're the multitaskers. They know how to do everything. You hired Bob, say, to do sales, but he was so good at customer service, and he can even do some warehouse work, and then he's also great at IT. So suddenly his job description is like everywhere. He's all over the org chart. He does this and that and this. He's so great. Look at that situation. Use this as an opportunity. And instead of, making a box and calling it Bob, or morphing this position into what he does by putting IT processes on this job description and also warehouse processes, rather put Bob's name in the boxes for what he's doing. Put him here, Bob's here, Bob's here, Bob's here. And then if he is spanning the org chart and it's got his name in boxes all across every department, try to think that through a little more. And even in the current situation, decide if you can reorganize what he does, because that is the most stressful job that anyone has ever had. And those of you who are owners of your business understand this. When you have so many different accountabilities, and some in sales and some in operations, and then you have to strategize, and it's like all over the place, it is stressful. Like you come to work every day with this goal of what to do, and you end the day with having done none of it, and then you lay in bed at night just sweating because there's so much more to do. Well, that's Bob. That's your best employee. Is that how you want to treat your best employee? The guy is multitasking all over the place, can't get anything done, feels overwhelmed, feels frustrated. So if you want to keep Bob, this could be a chance where you reorganize things a bit and maybe pull his directives just into the sales and marketing department. It's also incredibly inefficient for your business because there are this idea of uniformity of work. Well, that breeds productivity. So here's Bob over here, get sales, get leads. That's a result. But now I'm get sales, get leads, fix the computers, answer the phones, clean the warehouse, right? It's chaotic. So it would benefit you in the end and your key employees to kind of create more uniformity in what they do. Another thing you want to look out for when you marry the present situation with the future is if you have more than one person's name in a box. So generally how that happens is I could have Bob here. He's a sales lead, but he's also, I really need a manager here because I am so stressed as the president. I really want someone to be dealing with these people and helping me out in this department. So I promote Bob from here to here, but he's not really the manager. He's just sort of the manager when I need him to be. So I'm really in this box too. So we're both kind of the manager of marketing and sales. Well, that is completely ridiculous. If not one person is accountable, then nobody is accountable, and this job is not even getting done at all. So consider that scenario. Even, and nobody likes to think about this, but if you're partners and you're all the president, well, you're not all the president. Then nobody's the president. So assign people to roles and don't put multiple people in one accountability or one role. If you have this scenario where you promoted Bob kind of beyond his capabilities in the moment, then have him move back down to sales lead and keep your name in this box until you grow and document the processes and can train him in really how to be the manager. And also alleviate him from the sales work that's pulling him back down into this role so he can be a successful manager. So think about all your dynamics with the marrying of the present with the future. It can be done. And even if it's kind of haphazard for a while, you understand that you have a plan for moving forward into this more structured company. All of it hinges on your ultimate ability to document all your processes for what happens in each of these boxes. That's going to make the growing of your company efficient and profitable. So what I mean by that is ultimately, and we're going to talk about this next week, you want to build your job descriptions which is in TouchStone basically a list of what each position is accountable for, and then document these positions or processes. So Bob here, if I decided in 2020 to actually promote him to the manager of marketing and sales, then I would have these processes I could train him in so he knows how to be a manager and is effective at it. So I'm going to end today just by highlighting 2 library processes that I think are really relevant to this conversation of organization strategy and how to use this org chart as a management tool. This org chart and the way that I've described is something that can guide your company into the future in a structured way. What feels like chaos day to day you'll have some relief around that, and it's not going to be perfect. All this won't work out perfectly. I may not hire this person in Q4, and I might, but I'll just change the state if I don't. So be flexible, but know that it's a structure that you're moving towards. So there are 2 other strategic tools that I think are really useful with this organization strategy. So the first is, we call it a strategic target or a strategic plan. So it's I just went to guiding the business in the 4 key functions. It's here in this library right here in the general process library. And it's called strategic planning. I've got it in my system. I'll just move it to the top so you can see it right here. There's a couple versions of this. There's one called strategic target. So you can look at both of them and decide what you like better. So basically, this is just a process that helps you create a plan. It doesn't have to be a big, long, fancy business plan. It's not a business plan. I don't even like business plans. It's just a vision. It's your picture of the future. It's simply your picture of 2021 when you've reached the 10 million in sales. It's your sales goal, your profit goal. It's you looking at the marketing department and saying, well, if we're going to increase sales, then we need to do more social media. It's looking at the operations department and saying, well, if we're increasing sales and more sales are coming in, we need training programs. We need good recruiting and hiring. So it's just you looking at the big picture and putting it down in written format. There's a custom form in this where you can literally answer questions. So this is, what are the company's size and growth objectives? What's the geographic scope, the market served? It doesn't even have to be, this complicated. You could do a document like this one. So this is just called annual priorities. So for 2019, you can say, these are our annual priorities, things we want to do. Do this, increase sales, better customer service, better conversion rate, more social media. You just list out your priorities, what you want to get accomplished this year. And you can add more description here. And then you break it into quarters. So quarterly, Q1, if I want to increase our conversion rate to 70%, then I need to work on the sales process. Simple, clear, straightforward. So you can use something like this. We do this at Business Design Corp. It's really, we have quarterly priorities, and then if you don't hit your quarterly priorities, well, they roll from one quarter to the other. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but you try to take action on each of these things. So look through this process. There's a video here. There's some work plans here on creating a strategic plan, creating a vision, and then there's documents and forms. So have some kind of written out objective, even if it's just a few paragraphs. That will help you in doing your organization chart, right? Because if you've got this vision of 2021, then the org chart is a picture of that vision. If you don't have the vision, then the org chart is less thought through. It's not. It's harder to create it. So first vision, then the org strategy. Then the second process that I want to talk about, drum roll, everyone hates this process, budgeting, right here. So I'm in running the business, and you go to the library here, general processes, and you can pull down this process called budget creation. And it's just what it says it is. It's creating a financial plan. It's creating your vision and your organization chart in number format. So when you're saying you want to get to 10 million in sales in 2020 by 2021, well, it's a numbers picture of how that's going to happen, quarter by quarter, year by year. I think budgeting gets a bit of a bad rap because oftentimes you spend a lot of time coming up with the budget, and then you just get one quarter in, you're like, this just doesn't even work. Like, it's way too detailed. We didn't hit those numbers, and then you just kind of give up. So there's some different template ideas here. These are all uploaded files. I'm just going to hit view file here and show you one. There are 1,000 different budget templates on the internet. This is just one. So this is just a worksheet. You can do, these years are wrong, but you get the idea. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Monthly budgeting is, I mean, I suppose it has a purpose, but when you're looking out 2 years into the future, just go quarterly. Don't go monthly. It's just too much detail. Then you can put in your different service or profit centers, have it calculate gross revenue, put in your variable costs. We're talking round numbers. It's not, a huge amount of detail. Fixed expenses. Now in the salaries area, when you're thinking of hiring the operations manager in Q4 2019, well, you'd plug in that salary right here. That's your future hire plan. And then you look down at the profit number and see, is that going to work? Then you look back up and say, well, what does sales need to be for that to work? So it's just a big algebra expression. And if you do round numbers, then you can see it in kind of a general way. At minimum, you'll know what you need to be in revenue in order to hire those positions in the future. And then once you have this number, what you need in revenue, you can start to think, well, what are we going to have to spend on advertising costs? Or how many leads are going to have to come in at what cost and what conversion rate to make that work? In the end, you always want to focus on this number down here. Net profit. I know these numbers don't make sense, but you get the idea. So your net profit is what the shareholders are getting. It's what the owners get. It's the number that this box cares about. So think about your net profit, because in the end, that's really the most important piece. So vision, organization strategy, financial plan, simple budget. Those 3 tools are fantastic tools to help grow and scale your business. Are there any questions? I don't think anybody has any questions. Okay, fair enough. Next week, we are going to be talking about job descriptions. So I'm going to be showing you how to build the job descriptions in TouchStone. So this is one that's been built, this 1 through 6 here. I'm going to talk about the structure of it, how to link the processes, why you would want to link the processes, all the functionality of the job descriptions. And then I'm going to end with how to use job descriptions, because that's the most important piece. In my opinion, job descriptions are the most important management tool any manager could ever have ever. And the job descriptions in TouchStone, not ones that you probably are normally see, but ones like this, which are a clear, concise list of what this person is accountable for, and ultimately a step-by-step directions on how to do all this work. This is the most important management tool that a manager will ever use. And I'm going to tell you next week why and how, and give you lots of different examples for it. So thank you for coming, everybody. And I will talk to you next week. Oh, wait, I'm going to say one more thing since I have time. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, there's this button called Resource Center. This is all, through every screen in TouchStone, you're always going to see this. And if I click on it, it's going to open the help desk in a second window. So TouchStone's still open, but here's the second window. Right up here where it says Support Plus, this is a great way to get a hold of us. It says Contact Support. Training is always free. We want to give you training. We want to help you. We want to guide you in any way and every way we can. If you want help with your 4 functions list, or you want help building your organization chart, you just want to show me or somebody what your chart looks like and just talk it through, or tell me why you think everything that I said today isn't going to work for you, whatever it is, just send us a message. You probably all have my email address already because the emails to remind you of this session come from me. But you can just do here, contact support and send. You can say, have someone call me, I need help, and then we'll get a hold of you and set up a free training. Also, under contact support, there's a whole new series of TouchStone University that's starting as well. And if you just hit click to view upcoming classes, you're going to see the new series. So these are shorter training sessions. They're about a half an hour, 45 minutes at the most. These are the top 10 processes that we've identified, top 10 library processes that we think are important. So what happens in these sessions is we focus on a specific process. Like last week, we talked about recruiting and hiring. We'll show you the library processes that you can download that are related to this, how to use them, how to edit them, why they're important. And then throughout that, we're also showing kind of tips and techniques on how to use TouchStone as well. And then next topic, like next week on Tuesday, I'll be talking about customer reviews and complaints. This is a great topic. These are all things that every business needs, and you can easily download examples from the library and then literally use them. So if you're interested in any of these sessions, you just fill in the little bubble next to the date and time. And then you put in your first, last name and hit submit. And all that happens is that will then send you a link to the meeting so you can log in and listen to the meeting. All right, well, thank you for coming, everybody, and I'll look forward to talking to y'all next week. Bye-bye.